everyone, it's Shel C from Paper Rock TO Studio, and today I'm sharing with you my days 4, 5, and 6 of the Index Card a Day Challenge, which is put out by DaisyYellowArt.com. Link below if you would like to join in. It's never too late because once you start, and once you finish, you're done. So if you still want to play, please come and do, because it's fun and I like it when everybody is out there making beautiful art and putting it out into the world. That makes me happy. So for, let's see, this must be day 4. I wanted to do some collage. This is probably my favorite thing to do. Glue paper to stuff. I love doing it. I'm really working on all my other skills, my drawing and my painting and all the other things, but if you were to ask me what my favorite thing to do is, this is it. I like to do paper piecing, I like to do paper painting. These are my things that I like to do. So I was sitting drinking tea in the morning and I had some pretty flowers and I decided to use that as my inspiration. Now over at the Daisy Yellow blog and Facebook group, they do have prompts that you can use for each day. I'm not using the prompts. I just like to be inspired by whatever I'm inspired by. If one day I come up against a wall and I can't think of something, I will use their prompt because they're all great. You know, I just kind of like to do my own thing. I'm a rebel. I just like to do my own thing. So this paper that I glued on there is a jelly print. This stack of jelly prints was one that I made, and then my mother got sick and I never got a chance to use any of them, so they've been just laying on my floor. They're pretty. They're colors of teals and blues, and I was really into that color combination at the time. And so I'm just going to use a few of those to make my card. I used gel type matte medium to glue it down, putting it both on the back of the print and the card. These are thin prints. They're actually made from my underpaper, which is just a plain newsprint. And when it gets too dirty, I like to change it because I think it looks ugly on the screen when there's like all this crazy color. It's hard to see the project. It's not ugly, it's beautiful actually, but it's hard to see the project that you're working on if there's like a whole bunch of distraction of colors and splashes everywhere. That's just my opinion. A lot of people just use their same underpaper forever and it works fine for them. I just like to have it a little bit more tidy. So I change it a lot because it keeps getting messy. It's like driving me crazy. It keeps getting messy. Of course, this craft sheet works great, except for it's too shiny and it has that reflection. So that's the reason I don't always use the craft sheet. But at least it keeps my underpaper clean. But then it's got this reflection. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe if I had something to diffuse the light. I don't really know. I'm not a professional video maker. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm winging it. So anyway, the whole point of that discussion was that I use my jelly on my jelly plate when I'm jelly plating. Sometimes I use that underpaper because it's not that dirty. It's only got a few colors on it, and then it makes for a really thin, nice collage paper, and then I'm not wasting it. I'm not just tossing it or something. So I'm using that for my background and then also for my little vase, which I also threw a couple scraps which are in the tray called Clean Up Your Desk, which I do have that little series going on of tags of cleaning up your desk, all the little pieces and bits and things that are everywhere. And so I'm using a few of those on this index card as well. And then also I have whole little plastic boxes full of sorted color scraps, and you saw me bring one of those in. It's the oranges and yellows, and I grabbed a piece out of that as well. So these are just, you know, scraps around here and there, things that are everywhere in my studio. I really need to clean up the floor. It's bad. It's really, really bad. So I'm just continuing to use my paste style gel medium, which is a Liquitex product. I really like it. As you can see, it's almost empty. I need to get some more. But I'm doing that to glue everything down, and then I dried it. And I wanted to knock back that background, which is actually my favorite part of the jelly print, but it was too busy and too color similar to what I had put in the foreground. And so I'm just using some diluted white gesso and just painting around um, all my little flowers and stems and leaves, which I keep accidentally painting over the leaves and having to wipe them off because they're blending in too much. I can't see them. But you can see what I'm doing. I'm just like knocking back that background just a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with a Stabilo. Actually, I'm going to do the edging first. I like things to have edges, especially these little things like tags and index cards seem to need edges for me for some reason. I don't really know what that is. Things need to be enclosed. They need to have a boundary. I don't know. I'm sure that some psychologist could tell me what my problem is there. But I've been putting edging on pretty much every index card, and probably every index card that I've done so far has had edging. And if you watch my tag videos, you see me put a layer of a backing on it that has an edge around it because I just think it looks nice. I just like it. It's just the way it is. I like it. So I've got my Stabilo All highly water reactive pencil, which is obviously dull and I needed to sharpen it. And I'm just going around my foreground images and making them have a shadow. And that really helps them to blend in to the collage so they don't just look like they're stuck on there. It also helps them to stand out. And I'm not going to say, even though I am going to say it, I'm not going to say it makes them pop. I'm so tired of hearing that everywhere. Oh, it makes them pop. Oh, it drives me nuts. Just really overused. But I said it, didn't I? I said it. See, I said it right in my video. Oh my gosh. Now I'm one of the abusers of the phrase. And then, of course, I've got my white Paska pen, and I'm adding highlights, which also adds to bring everything out. And I'm drawing in a little T hang tag thing and some words. And then that one is done for day 4. It was a lot of fun. I love doing that. I could probably do that all day. So for day 5, I decided that I was going to use this little phrase that I found on Pinterest and printed it out. I was printing out something for an art journal page and I wanted to use up the rest of the paper instead of just printing one thing onto a paper and then that's it. So I was looking on Pinterest in my quotes to live by little board or whatever, and I found a few things that I wanted to use. I thought they'd be cute on cards or journal pages, and so I just put them on the page and printed them out. So this is one of them. I'm guessing there really wasn't any information on the pin, but I'm guessing this is maybe a stamp, and it has a really good thing on it, so it'd probably be a cool stamp to have, but I have no idea whose stamp it is. And obviously I just printed it off the internet, so you know, I mean, that's not that cool. If I had a stamp company, I wouldn't want people printing my images, but it was there and it wasn't protected in any way, so I guess it's free to use. I don't know. Excuse me, I have to cough. Sorry, still dealing with that cold. So anyway, it's talking about colors in your soul, and so I wanted to use a very, very bright background, and I found this napkin in my stash, which I think was probably given to me by maybe one of the napkin swaps, so I probably got it from somewhere, but it's very bright, very, very bright flowers, huge pops of pink and orange, and I thought that was perfect. So I separated out the plies, and then I glued it down with some liquid matte medium onto my index card. Then I put an edge around it with some archival ink, which was in watering can color. Then I'm gluing this on with my gel type, or I think it's more like paste type matte medium. They don't call it that. They call it gel, but I think it's paste. Hello, Liquitex, it's paste, okay? Drying that up, and then I'm going around the edge with my black Stabilo All pencil, you know, to make that shadow again and to make it blend into the background so that it doesn't just look like it's something that's glued on there, even though it is. Important step. People shouldn't skip that step because it really does help and makes a big difference. And then once that's all blended, and my water barrel brush, that particular one, just like really pours out a lot of water, so I keep having to blot it. I need to go through and find more water barrel brushes that I'm sure I have somewhere in my studio, probably on the floor, because that one just the valve is just a little bit too open for my taste. But I have another one that the valve is completely jammed that's sitting on the desk, and so I can't use that one, which was my favorite one, and I don't know how it got jammed. I'm guessing that maybe when I was using it with acrylic paint, because I like to blend with acrylic paint sometimes when I'm using my Neocolor 2s and stuff like that. I think maybe I must have sucked up some paint into the valve and it dried in there. That's what I'm thinking. Not cool, not cool at all. So this is my set of 12 Paska medium point acrylic markers. And I picked out some colors that coordinate with the background, and I'm just going over the letters and filling in and adding color because it looked really dumb just black and white since it's talking about color. So that makes those words stand out a lot more. But it still needs something. It still needs something. I don't know. What does it need? Oh, it needs a little person. Actually, just her eyes, because you know what? Eyes are the windows to the soul, and it's talking about colors in your soul. So I wanted to draw some eyes peeking out from behind the saying. And then, of course, she needed a little bit of random hair to kind of fill out the face. And so I did that with my Stabilo All pencil, and then I'm just activating it with my water barrel brush. And that's working out pretty good because the napkin is absorbent still a little bit. Even though I put matte medium over it, it's still just a little bit absorbent. So it worked out really well. It didn't over, the pencil didn't go crazy with the water. And then I'm just adding white to the whites of her eyes, but I'm leaving the bright colors in the irises because even though they're not the same color, I think it looks cool. So that was day number 5 and ICAD number 5. Had a lot of fun with that one. For day 6, I'm going to make a drawing, and I'm going to make a mermaid because I'm in this group that's called 12 Months of Mermaids, and you need to make mermaids in the 12 Months of Mermaids, and I haven't made one this month yet. So I decided to draw a mermaid on my index card. So I'm using my 2B lead in my mechanical pencil. This is a softer version of lead, of graphite. And this is what I like to make my drawings with because you can actually blend it with a tortilla. A tortillion. I call it a tortilla. It's because I live in the Southwest. It's just what I do. I don't know. And I've got my kneaded eraser. I need a new eraser. That one's getting really yucky. But, on the list of art supplies, if you were to list 10 art supplies that you wanted to buy, would the eraser be number 1? I don't think so. I think something cool like Brush-Os or high flow golden acrylics or something like that would be on the top, not an eraser. Boring. But it is something that I need. Maybe the eraser fairy will send me an eraser. I don't know. I doubt that there's such thing. But if there was, they would send me an eraser. Anyway, now I am using my favorite pens for inking my drawings, or these are illustrations. This is an illustration. And when I make an illustration, I like to use different line weights when I ink, and I like to use something that's permanent so that if I use a water medium over the top, which I am planning to, then the lines will stay. So these are Faber-Castell Artist Pet pens, and they come in a variety of sizes. So the one I'm using right now is small because this is a very tiny drawing because it's on an index card. A 3x5 index card is tiny. And I did struggle with her little teeny tiny face because it was so teeny tiny. But it looks okay. So I'm drawing in the basic lines with my small, and then I'm going to go for the extra small for the face and the finer details. If I was making a larger illustration, I'd probably use the medium as well. I don't use the brush tip very often, or the larger ones, the chisel. But, depending on what you're illustrating, you might want those sizes as well. I really like that little set of pens. I've tried the microns. That's what I had at first, and I didn't like them. And then I had something else. I forget. Anyway, I didn't like them. But then when I got these, I was very excited because I really like them. I think they're perfect for inking. Now this is my Koi Watercolor Travel Kit, which I've been taking with me when I go on trips, and I just do little silly watercolors that I don't show anyone because I'm trying to practice my watercolor because I'm not very good at it. Watercoloring is a skill, and you have to think about a lot of things like how wet is the paper when you're putting the paint on it, and you know, it requires much more skill than I actually possess. But I'm trying to work on it, so you know, that's part of my strategy, work on it. One thing that I really like about this watercolor set, which I think is different than, I don't know if this always happens, but it has a white. And so the white is pretty opaque. So I think it's more like a gouache. And then the rest of them are watercolors because they're transparent. This is what I'm thinking. I think. But, you know, I'm no expert on any of this stuff, so don't take my word for it. But I like that because being someone who's much more familiar with acrylic, I like the idea that I can lighten something a little bit with the white if I've messed it up. You know, because in acrylic you can always go back over. You could gesso the whole thing again if you want to start over, or you can, you know, go in and cover up a mess and redo it. In watercolors can't do that because it's not going anywhere and everything is transparent, and you know, you can blot, especially if you're using watercolor, you can blot up some of the mess you make. And maybe you can fix things that way, but generally it's just no go. Once it's on there, and that's all there is to it. And you will see me make a little bit of a mistake here in a minute. When I go in to put some darker stuff in her hair, my hand just freaks out and I go over the line and I get red up above her hair, and I try to blot it off and it won't come off because this isn't watercolor paper, this is an index card. It's not working that great. So then I end up coming back and fixing it with the white. Excuse me again, I have to cough. Dang it. So I like the fact that it has a white. That's, I guess, the point of all my conversation in this last whole bit. I'm talking way too much, but it's who I am. I talk a lot. So I'm just coloring in all the things. I have the little shells down there and some seaweed. Once I've dried, you saw me drying with the heat tool, then I come back in and deepen some of the colors by going over them either with the same color or a little bit darker color, depending. Kind of attacking it as if it's acrylic even though it's not. And so, yeah, this poor mermaid, she's in a fishbowl. Her day is not going well. She's in a dang fishbowl. I'm using a little bit of Paska just to kind of pop up some of those pinks because they weren't pink enough. There's not a pink in the set, so I had to blend it, and it wasn't pink enough. Now I think there needs to be some pattern on the background. It's bugging me, and that was me straightening out the card on the edge of the paper, the table, by just rubbing it over the edge of the table. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I decided to use my favorite stencil, which is a Harlequin pattern. I think this one's from the Crafter's Workshop. And just go in and add some pattern over the yellow with a little bit darker yellow, and then over the blue with a little bit darker blue, just to make it look like maybe just something, you know. It didn't have enough something, so I needed more something. I'm making no sense. But anyway, that's what I did. I did that. So I think we're getting close to the end of this one, so I will just say thanks for watching. You guys might have noticed on my subscriber count that I'm almost to 1,000. I mean, not 1,000, 2,000. I'm almost to 2,000, and remember I had a giveaway at 1,000, and I want to do another one at 2,000. And I'm wondering if you guys liked what I did last time, where everyone answered questions and then I made a personalized piece of art for someone. Her name was Sonia. If you like that, leave a, a comment that says, yes, I like that, and maybe I'll do 2 this time because 2,000 is better than 1,000. And you know what I'm saying. Also, if you like this video, please like and comment so that I know you were here, and share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already, because all those things really help YouTube know that I'm doing something valuable. And it makes me feel good because I feel like I'm doing something valuable, which is something that lacks in my life. So, do those things. And that's it for me. Thanks. Bye bye.